Little Caesars 5 pizza with pepperoni and sausage and ham and beef and bacon for just $9. Try our convenient app and Pizza Portal pickup. Pizza.
What? Portal? Together, walking forever, walking together.
Welcome back to the Roundtable. I'm Oshrik Vox, and a lot of cartoons have ended in recent years. Cartoons with overarching stories, huge followings, and a notable presence on their network or streaming service. The thing is, with a lot of these animated series, I always see one common complaint whenever they come to a close. One magical sentence. This finale felt rushed. It's a funny word when you apply it to media because a lot of things can be rushed in different ways. Cartoon finales are no exception. In fact, they're perfect for the subject. So today, I want to take a look at these popular animated finales that a majority of viewers labeled as rushed. Now, rushed does not necessarily mean bad. You can have a good finale yet still feel as if it's rushed. In fact, I think a lot of fans feel that way with a lot of these shows. I'm also going to do my best to keep my personal bias out of these, but I'm going to be honest. Trying to remove any kind of bias when critiquing media, especially of a topic as subjective as this, is pretty much impossible. I'll be looking at things from a neutral stance, but part of a personal critique is, well, personality. So if I say anything too outlandish about your favorite cartoon finale, please let's just try to agree to disagree and have a dialogue in the comment section below. Also, I will be discussing Steven Universe Change Your Mind as one of the examples. Even though it's not the series finale, the Crew Universe has been vocal that it was the end of Rebecca Sugar's original outline for the show. It's retroactively not the end, but at one point, it was clearly intended to be the last hurrah. After this, we're done, no more. And then Cardinary came along and said, money though. Let's get this party started. And let's actually look at Steven Universe Change Your Mind for the very first one. A lot of people feel as if Change Your Mind was rushed for a lack of build-up. This happens quite often in media. You get to the climax of a film or video game, where suddenly things just kick up to 100 without the proper building blocks necessary to have the viewer totally invested and feeling the exact same emotions.
Oh god, he's dead!
Instead, they just kind of throw you in. And while there are cool and shock factors to everything, you can't just help but to feel as if there should have been more before getting to this point. So how does Change Your Mind meet this criteria? Now, I'm aware a lot of people feel as if Blue and Yellow Diamond's turns were a bit more sudden, but honestly, I do believe their progressions were natural. Blue Diamond always had a soft spot for Pink. It is very clear that there are a few things in life that she loves as much as Pink. So when she realized she was the one responsible for Pink Diamond feeling like hot doo-doo garbage, of course she's going to have a breakdown and listen to Steven. As for Yellow Diamond, we see throughout the series that she's constantly concealing her emotions, repressing everything and pushing it further and further. So once Blue Diamond and Steven finally call her out on her suffering, she breaks. And once she finally breaks, she's finally ready to listen. So yeah, I don't believe their big moments were rushed, even if it does happen within the first 11 minutes of a 44-minute episode. What I do want to focus on is the giant sequence where Steven fuses with all 3 crystal gems, and White Diamond's attitude towards Steven in the episode. Now, a lot of people feel as if the scene of Steven fusing with every gem was nothing more than fan service, and they crammed it all in here just to say they did it, because if it was a final episode, they wanted to be able to just say, yeah, we did it. But that actually isn't true. Rebecca Sugar revealed on the Steven Universe podcast that Steven fusing with the gems in this one prolonged sequence was the idea of Ian Jones Cordy. While I'm sure being the final episode at the time played a role in everything, it was Ian who proposed the concept of Steven fusing with every gem in this big set piece where they're all falling, and Steven catches every gem by fusing and unfusing with them. The Crew Universe didn't think it would work, and Rebecca said, hey Ian, if you can draw it, we'll do it. Long story short, he could draw it, and the rest is history. Now, I think the problem here, if you can even call it a problem, I mean, look at these fusions. This is one of the most hypest things ever. But I think the reason a lot of people have problems with it was because Steven fusing with Pearl and Garnet was so sudden, as opposed to being properly built up like it was with Steven's first gem fusion, Amethyst. At the tail end of season 3, we had a string of episodes dedicated to Amethyst in the midst of the Jasper arc. Jasper as an antagonist furthered Amethyst's development as a character. This focus on Amethyst and seeing everything through the lens of Steven made it an absolutely satisfying and perfect payoff when the two fused into Smoky Quartz. Now, throughout season 5, we certainly got Garnet development, and as always, sprinkles of Pearl development, but I can't really say either of the two accumulated into their fusions, because in hindsight, the development of those two characters didn't come into play in the moment Steven fused with them. He fused with them because he wanted to save them and because he loved them, which really could have happened with these characters at any point after season 3. Like if he had the crystal gems poofed and falling and Steven had to fuse with all of them, that didn't have to happen and change your mind. It could have happened anywhere and it still would have been as sudden. That being said, it's certainly more gratifying to see it happen after all of this development. After Garnet's wedding, after Pearl finally being able to speak freely about Rose Quartz being Pink Diamond. But that's not even the bigger fish to fry. No.
Oh, no.
Frying any fish, it's going to be Now, I personally feel as if the show did already write themselves in a corner with this character by finally name-dropping her in the same episode she debuts in, which is at the end of what was going to be at one point the final season. Whereas we got to see glimpses of the other diamonds and had their presence known ever since season 2, or season 1 if you want to count the yellow diamond name drop at the end, White Diamond was kept as a great mystery. It was obvious she existed, fans knew she was there, we had her mural, but the show didn't even incorporate her into flashbacks until the 5th season. Once Steven finally set foot on Homeworld, the show finally began to slowly give us White Diamond. And I gotta say, on that aspect, her reveal was great. But you know, it almost makes me wish she appeared sooner, because outside of Steven's nightmare sequence and the fact that she's controlling White Pearl, we only have one scene with White Diamond before Change Her Mind, and that's the end of Lecture at a Homeworld, her debut scene, where she's kind of belittling to Steven, but has a certain air about her where you know something's off, but you can't exactly put your finger on what. She seems overjoyed that Pink Diamond is quote-unquote alive with Steven, and then she sends Steven off to Pink Diamond's room. And then when we see her in Change Her Mind, she's just very condescending. She's coming at Steven's neck. She brings the crystal gems in the what are you doing crawling in here, you little shit?
What?
Legs back, you want your planet back? Too fucking It's like, whoa.
No. You can't see that. It's a YouTube show. Don't make me lick your gem.
Entire middle episode with White Diamond's development that we just skipped over. She just snapped into crazy bitch mode. And we were just kind of expected to roll with it. I mean, I did. I was shitless. But it was so
Shitless?
sudden.
What's
That being said,
shit?
everything else in the episode wasn't
What's a
rushed
shit?
at all. The other crystal gems coming in clutch, seeing Lapis and Paradox new forms. Debatably, Obsidian by themselves is an incredible reveal that was properly built up to just because it is the climax. This would be the perfect scenario to use Obsidian. You didn't need the other fusions to happen for this to happen at this exact moment. And the entire sequence of Pink Steven was in no way, shape, or form rushed. That was properly built up since day one. And it had me smiling like an absolute idiot when it finally happened. A moment where Steven can find himself. The ultimate fusion dance. It could not have happened any sooner in the series. It had to happen then. But because we had these other two components of this special that didn't have the proper setup to them,
You and me, Papa
people felt that it was rushed. Now there's a bit more focus on Steven's relationship with Pearl and Garnet. It's kind of alongside just one more episode of White Diamond to show that shift in her personality. Then I think Change Your Mind would be universally well received, as opposed to just an episode people love, but they feel it's a little rushed. Personally, while I do agree that it's rushed to an extent, it just doesn't faze me. However, a show like Steven Universe that's formatted in arts and it's all about build-up and grand revelations should have probably known they would have gotten some sort of pushback for doing this really awesome thing very suddenly with no build-up. Like, if Change Your Mind was the end, I actually don't believe this episode would have been as loved as it is. It probably would have actually had a lot more people saying it's rushed. But you guys are already well aware that I talk about Steven enough on this channel. So let's move on to our next point. Dingling plot.
We are going to see the second part of this next episode, as well as the third and fourth parts. And every other part. We're just going to do it separately.